Hey everybody, it's Michelle with the Keys Ingredients. Today you and I together will be making my Sicilian grandfather's recipe for minestrone soup. This is what you will need: some olive oil, collard greens as your base, onion, parsley, celery, carrots, tomatoes, some frozen peas, and some garlic. Let's get started. I'm going to begin this like I begin most of my recipes, with a little bit of olive oil. Of course, I'll put the burner on here. It's going to be on medium. I'm going to generously coat the bottom of my pan or pot with olive oil and add a little bit of garlic. I use my garlic crusher. It's always a handy tool to have. And I will add in also my onions here. They are in a strainer because they were previously frozen, and I wanted to drain any excess water. It'll just help them saute quicker. So add the onions in, give that a stir. And while the onions are sauteing, I wanted to give you a quick tip on how to cut the collard greens. You may or may not be familiar with collard greens. Very large, green leafy vegetable, tons of health benefits. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay them one on top of another, and then I'm going to tightly roll them up like so. And do this side first, stems at the back. And we're just going to cut down on them this. Okay, we'll do the whole thing like that. Just going to remove this part here. And then you will turn them this way and do the same thing so they are small pieces and they're not stringy in the soup. My onions are looking great. They're just a little bit golden brown. You can hear that sizzle. I always like to believe that's applause. So go ahead and take a bow. The next thing we're going to do is add our tomatoes in, right on in with those onions. I had a combination today of, big applause there, you hear that? I had a combination of large and small tomatoes. This is a 3-cup bowl, so I just kind of have my standard bowls that I use and measure appropriately. So I've added these tomatoes in. I'm going to stir this around. Going to let this simmer down a little while before I add the collards and then the water. The aroma of the tomatoes and onions is phenomenal. I'm going to go ahead and add a pinch of salt and also some fresh pepper just to taste. You will also add additional salt to this recipe later. I'm going to go ahead and add those beautifully chopped collards. Give this a stir and add in my water. Filtered water is preferred, of course. I took my applause away. We are going to let these collards now simmer for about 30 to 35 minutes. The reason I simmered the collards for 30 to 35 minutes is because they are more of a bitter vegetable. So by simmering them, the flavor goes through, the tomatoes, the onions, and now we are ready to add our carrots, which I purchased already cut up, called crinkle cut. We're just going to minimize the chopping today, and we're going to dump those in. I did, however, cut up our celery. It took me about 25 seconds. And we're going to add that in, give this a stir. I actually use the celery leaves as well as all of the celery. Adds a beautiful flavor. It's a beautiful, hearty minestrone. And the last thing I will do is I will allow these carrots and celery to simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then I will add my frozen peas. And if you add them too soon, they do go dark green. If you add them at the very end, they stay bright green. So there you have it, guys. You can garnish with some fresh parsley. I want to always encourage you to add a protein to a vegetarian dish. So be it beans or beef, possibly a chicken breast. But just like that, guys, your minestrone's ready.